Let's get started. Welcome, everybody. Next slide, please, Lily. So a few reminders about today's presentation, just to help us facilitate everything. If you could keep your mics off at the moment, at the very end, we will have a question time, so you can always ask questions at that time. But if you do have questions as we go through the presentations that you're wondering about, please use the chat and we can either answer them in the chat or we'll answer them in the presentation. We are recording this, so in case you need to leave early to another presentation or anything like that, we are going to be sending this recording out a little bit later today, this afternoon, or at least by tonight. And it's going to be an email that includes this recording. We're going to have a lot of faculty introduction videos as well as some campus opportunities for you to explore. And I do ask if there's anyone here that is not proposed or declared in sociology. Maybe you're undecided and still kind of figuring out your major. The only way I can send you that email is if you let us know that you're interested in sociology. So in case you are considering sociology or you just want a recording later, if you shoot me an email at sociadvising@ucsc.edu, either now or after this meeting, that would be great. Next slide, please. So let's introduce ourselves. We'll start with our advising team. So I'm Tina Kasaboom. I'm the undergraduate program coordinator and assistant manager in the sociology department. I've been doing this for about 14 years, so it's been a while. And I was also an alum of this department. I did a double major in sociology and feminist studies. So I have experience on both sides, student and as an advisor. So definitely ask me any questions. And I'll turn it over to Willie.
Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Willie Guerrero. I use he and they pronouns. I'm the new sociology advisor. I'm very excited to be here, but I have been here for a while. I was also an undergrad in the sociology department back in 2010 to 2014. And then I was also a grad student. Pursuing the PhD before I transitioned to advising. So yeah, I really feel like this department is a home for me, and I hope it can be for you too. I'll turn it over to Adelina.
Hi, I'm Adelina. I'm one of your two peer advisors for sociology. You can come and see us in person at the Rachel Carson Academic Building. We're on the second floor, so it's right before you hit the stairs, and we have snacks. And my other peer advisor, Diana, couldn't be here today, but she's also super cool. And if you just need somebody to talk to or have any concerns about your schedule, you can come in person, talk to us, and Willie will be there too. It can help you with whatever you might need with sociology, and that's what your advisors are for. So please come.
Adelina. So yes, we are going to have in-person advising starting next week. I highly encourage you all to check out in-person advising. I did put our advising information in the chat for you all that has an advising calendar, our drop-in advising calendar. It especially starts to get a little heavier next week. And then you can also make appointments with myself or with Willie during through the Navigate Slug Success app, and all of that information and directions is on our website. Next slide, please. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Professor Arginal.
Yeah, thank you. And even before I introduce myself, I want to second that call to get to know your advising team. I know I rely on them for lots of information. So I think it's great way to start to build community, right? That as you're coming onto campus, what a great way to start to get to know people and build that support. So I'm going to second that. My name's Amy Archinal. I'm an assistant teaching professor in sociology. This is my third year, so I'm relatively new. I am a member of the undergraduate education committee, and so I'm excited to think about how sociology works with undergrads, and I'm excited to welcome you all here today. On this slide, you can see some of the courses that I teach. I do community engaged scholarship, in particular around human rights, migration, and education. Those are the kind of in 3 larger fields, but really with a focus of how do I step into communities? How do I work with communities as I engage in research on these larger themes? And because of that, I get to teach a class called Community Engaged Research, Learning, and Internships. Normally, I teach it once every quarter, but this year I'll be teaching it in the fall and the winter. And then in the spring, we'll teach a new course for me, which will be social justice. And then in the fall, I also have my tools for human rights advocacy. And that I teach every fall. And so next year, as you're looking for a course, it's one of my favorites. Actually, both. I enjoy all of these, and I'm sure I'm going to enjoy the social justice. But yeah, I would love to have you all take a class. They're upper level electives, so there are some prereqs, but please keep a look at as you're looking for your schedules next year. And then I have some scholarship below. This summer, I spent some time in El Salvador, so I was able to write a blog post. And so there's a link there if you want to know a little bit about some of the work that I'm working on right now. I think you can go to the next slide. Okay, so I get to talk to you about the major of sociology. What does the academic study look like? I will say that myself, I was actually trained as in education, not in the discipline of sociology, but have always really seen myself as kind of a sociologist at heart, because of the in-depth study. Really looking at society and what are the structures of oppression, power. In particular, for me, I look at that in terms of migration, but it's looking at social forces and cultural meanings. So kind of the study of the social, how do we really understand how people interact with government structures, religious structures, health structures, food systems, police and carceral systems, the environment, right? That it's an amazing focal point to really try to understand the world that we live in. And how that's informed by larger historical and cultural contexts. I myself see myself as a movement scholar, so community engagement is a way that I try to understand how social change happens. And so in sociology, it's a brilliant way to try to understand how movements work, what movements are pushing for, how to embed yourself within that and really understand our world. And then, of course, the human action around that. You can go to the next slide. So what can you do with a sociology degree? Many, 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 many things. So, you can, I think a lot of the traditional social service careers, public health, mental health practitioners, many people will go on to do a master's of social work, but there's also law school, education. I think a number of folks will use their sociology degree and then go into K through 12 education, using research for public policy, right? So whether that be in a think tank or taking government positions, working in that sector. And you can see in this list, right, some of the public policy areas, but like how do we use research to then help inform the policies that we're making? Yeah, I think we can go to the next slide. Private industry as well as up there. So one of the things that I'm really excited about, and I'm still learning about all the resources that our campus has. So I'll talk a lot about internships and research opportunities in the course that I teach. But this is a center that is really, really important that you all just kind of have on your radar. There is Handshake, which people can use to try to find internships or work opportunities on campus, but Career Success can help you draft a resume. Look for letters of like how would you then write a cover letter? How would you think about attending a job fair or meeting people? What does an interview process look like? And so we wanted to make sure that we had this slide as some of the resources that are offered on campus that can support you as you think about even, okay, with a sociology degree, what do I do with that? How do I even start? This could be a great place. And then plug for my class, because I hope to also brainstorm that with all of you if you take the community engaged class, because we do think about internships and utilizing your sociology degree. Okay, and we can go to the next slide. So the program learning outcomes are areas that each class will focus on, right? So what are some of the learning objectives? If you take a particular class, what do you think you'll come out with at the end of those 10 weeks? And so in our courses, they may not address all 5 of these, but each course will address at least one or multiple. For example, formulate effective and convincing written and oral arguments. So are you doing class presentations? Are you writing a research paper? Demonstrate sociological understandings of phenomena, right? So how do we then understand our world? How are we writing about it? How are we discussing? How are we theorizing around it? The use of critical thinking, right? Putting a problem at the center and practicing the ability to pull evidence, but also question, right? Where did that evidence come from? How do I understand this? Are there other perspectives that can help me see this from a different lens? Demonstrate an understanding of and the ability to use several major classical and or contemporary perspectives in social theory. So that underground, the kind of theoretical framing of sociology, what are some, important sociological texts that help inform how we understand the discipline and the field. And then demonstrate an understanding of several of the major social science research methodologies. I shared earlier, I do a lot of community engaged scholarship, participatory action research. Those are kind of fields that I spend a lot of time with. Ethnography, quantitative analysis, demography. So there's all sorts of ways in which you can learn how to engage methodologically within the field. And so a class will perhaps be a foci of one of these, a focus of one of these, but also may have multiple of these as you go through your learning experiences in sociology. Okay, next slide. So one of the things, and as I shared, I am not a trained sociologist. I come out of the School of Education, but there's something that really makes sociology at Santa Cruz unique. And it's this idea of public scholarship, a focus on social justice, public sociology, and what does it mean to really be in spaces and think about how we learn in those spaces. So, you'll see, and we'll do this in the next slide, the number of different areas of research of the faculty, but also a wide methodological variety of how people are engaging in the field. And it's really exciting to see that. A lot of sociology departments are very, very discipline specific, but UC Santa Cruz has folks doing sociology in a number of different ways, and that's really, really exciting. So I'm excited to welcome you all into considering this major, and I think that you'll be able to find a way in at UC Santa Cruz. So we can go to the next slide. Okay, so these are, again, some of the different areas of focus that faculty engage with. You can see this, so you can watch the faculty introduction videos, and I think Tina just dropped the link in the chat, or if has not, will. And I encourage you to watch these because you'll get to meet faculty talk about their research or their focus, and then it will help you look up what classes you want to take, right? So, for example, Professor Alicia Riley does work on health with communities as a demographer. And so, you can look at a class if you're interested in that. We have a lecturer who does a work on pregnancy and sociology and motherhood, I believe the name is, or one of you could put the name of that class. But there's all sorts of different ways in which you can engage. And so you'll see these larger themes, and then you can take, oh, I'm really interested in movement work, or I'm interested in the law. I'm interested in cultural performances and how sociology plays out within cultural practices. And from there, then you can kind of narrow down who do you want to take a class with. So I really, really encourage you to watch those videos. Okay, next slide. We have a new professor to sociology, not to our campus. Professor Murthy is coming from feminist studies, and so will be joining our department. And so these are some classes that you can look up if you're interested in courses with the feminist focus. and contact information is there. But again, not new to our campus, just new to our department, and we're really excited for that. So I encourage you again, watch those videos, get to know and become familiar with faculty. One other thing I'll say about watching the videos and why it's important is sometimes folks take sabbatical. And so if you plan ahead, right? Like if you know, oh, I really want to take a class with this person. And they're on the sabbatical this year. If you have that, then you know, oh, I need to look out next year. Or, oh, I have a chance to take a class this year. I better take it because they may be on sabbatical, or maybe the class is full. Or so I really encourage you to really think about finding professors that really speak to things that you're interested in and trying to take a class with them. It's also a great way to build relationships. And those relationships are useful. I love working with students. So I have, and I love building those relationships. And I'm excited that as I've been here for these couple of years, that they continue to grow even when you graduate, that you can have those contacts. Okay, next slide. Okay, so this is my course, the Community Engaged Research, Learning, and Internships. I think I still have a couple of slots for transfer students that may have taken the prereqs already. But this is a great class. If you're even thinking of doing an internship, I really encourage you to take this class first because we do a lot of brainstorming. You don't have to come into the class with an idea, right? You can come in and we brainstorm. We really think about like, what do you hope to do with your degree? What are your interests? What are your passions? What are you good at? And then I also try to share resources. I attempt to bring things in. And then also give some time to connect with the community so that you can hopefully there's a group project that we do in which you go and try to visit a community organization or a neighborhood and write about that and try to understand it a little bit more in depth. So definitely keep a lookout for this class. I definitely teach it every year, if not multiple times in the year. And I think next slide. Okay. And this, I do a lot of work with this in the class, but just to know there's so many different opportunities that you can do to engage in community engaged research. There's pathways to research. I hope that somebody will come into a class that you have and talk about this program. The Correct Scholars, there's the Building Belonging program in which you can apply and work with a professor for a quarter, a couple quarters, or the whole year on a research project. There's my course, but then there's also faculty that have a particular community engaged course on a theme. So, whether it be on, there's a climate justice initiative, youth participation, there's different classes that may come up with different themes, and you'll engage in community engaged research that way. So keep these, flowing. Our advising department is brilliant about sending around these messages. And I think next slide. And I think that's me. So I'm going to say welcome to all of you. I'm really excited to meet you, and then I'm going to pass it off to the team.
Thank you so much, Professor Archibald. Yeah, that was a really lovely introduction to sociology. I wish I could have taken your class when I was an undergrad. And I think one of the really lovely things about sociology in general and our department specifically, as Professor Archibald said, she's coming from education. Professor Murdy is coming from feminist studies. We have professors coming from lots of different disciplines. And I think specifically, especially with our department, that interdisciplinarity is really exciting for sociology. It's such an open discipline that lets us think about things from so many different perspectives, and having professors come from so many different places and interested in so many different topics makes our department really exciting to take classes in. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about our programs. Well, we have 4 programs. I'm going to focus on our BA, and then Tina and someone from the Everett program will tell you about those other programs. So the sociology BA is by far the majority of our students are taking this this program. It's comprised of 4 lower division classes, 7 upper division classes, and then a senior exit requirement, which could be one course of a senior seminar or a graduate level course, or a thesis, which can be multiple courses. But I'll start by telling you about our lower division classes. So to qualify for the major and declare the major, students have to take 2 of these 3 lower division courses and pass with the C or better. It's very common for students to take Sociology 1, Intro, and then one of the other 2 classes, which are Issues and Problems in American Society or World Society. But you don't have to do it that way. You could take Sociology 10 and Sociology 15. It's just very common for students to take Intro. You can even take all 3 if you want, but only 2 are required. In addition to that, we have 2 other lower division methods courses, Sociology 3A, which introduces students to sociological research methods, how to interpret sociological research, how to do research, things like this. We also have a statistical methods course. No math placement is needed, so we often get students taking our statistics course for the GE. But yeah, it's a good statistics course to take. And then we have our upper division courses. We have 2 theory courses, which are close to my heart because these are the ones that I would always teach as a grad student or lecturer. We have Sociology 105A, which is classical social theory. One thing I'll say about the theory classes, I think students can have a love-hate relationship with theory. It's a very dense and complex form of writing and thinking. But I also think it's some of the most exciting classes in sociology. Theory really helps us think about the world differently and see the world differently. And I think our professors and lecturers and grads are really excited about theory, and hopefully that excitement can help students get over the difficulty of those classes. But so we have classical and contemporary social theory kind of bridging a large history of social theory up to the contemporary day. And then students have to take 5 upper division electives in the department, which are various topics, and this is kind of the part of the program where you can really specify what kind of sociological research you're interested in and topics that you're interested in, and really mold it to your own interests and goals as a student. Yeah, I think I forget, but I think we decided not to spend too much time on the senior exit requirement because that's much later in the program, so you have plenty of time to think about that. But in general, the senior seminars are kind of smaller seminar courses around a specific topic. A graduate level course could be really interesting if you're interested in knowing what graduate level classes are like. And a senior thesis is there if you really want to dedicate yourself to a project, having a written thesis and applying to grad school with it. And I'll turn it over to Tina.
Thanks, Lily. All right, so next we're going to talk about our sociology BA with a intensive concentration in global information and social enterprise studies. We call it GISIS for short. I see I meant to put social instead of global on a second. That's all right. But first, before we can really go into the major, we want to talk about the Everett program because our concentration is basically the Everett program. So it's everything Willie just talked about, plus 4 set of courses that make up the Everett program, and that's our concentration. So I'm going to turn it over to our awesome Everett fellow reps, and they'll introduce themselves. And yeah, we'll turn it over to you guys. And Willie, next slide. There we go.
Yes, hello everybody. Happy to be here. We are representing the Everett program. We are a student-led program dedicated to building tech skills in solidarity with local and global communities. I am here with my colleague Ivana on this computer, and then we have Rio and my colleague Fernando on the other computer, and we will just be going through the slideshow to introduce the rest of the program, as well as just the structure, as well as any opportunities for students. But next slide, please. Okay, so just to go a little bit more into the structure that we use for our classroom setup, our classes in the course series, which we will be getting into throughout later in the presentation, are facilitated using a peer-to-peer model. So we encourage student leadership. We disregard the structure of having a teacher and student dynamic, and we really encourage learning, co-learning. And we really facilitate that through peer-to-peer discussion, having our student fellows actually lead classes, and just, overall encourage new students in the program to take the lead in discussions and learn alongside with us. But our 3 main values include heads on justice, which includes, systems thinking and really analyzing the structures and power systems that are at play for different social justice issues. We have hands on tech, which relates to tech skills, which we are also in the process of redefining in terms of what exactly does technology mean. It's not just computer skills. It can have a lot of different things, but the way we like to define it is any means of facilitating or advancing communication. Our last value is the hearts on change aspect, which is the community engaged aspect of things. And this is where we have peer-to-peer led discussions on encouraging students to take up leadership positions, as well as really analyze their positionality in systems in relation to communities that they are working directly with. Next slide, please. And here we have a breakdown of our Everett staff members. So Chris Benner is currently the executive program director. And this is actually his last year as director. We are in the midst of a transition, and next year we will have a new director. We have myself, Fernando, Rio, and Ivana as executive fellows, and we'll explain the breakdown of exactly what an executive fellow is in the next slide. And we also have Xiaowei Wang, who is our newest visiting assistant professor, who will be leading 3 of the classes in the GICES course series. Next slide, please. Okay, just to go into our program structure, we have a very horizontal structure, and there are a lot of opportunities for growth in this program for students. So Everett students begin in Sociology 30A in the fall, which is a general ed course that just kind of kicks off the course series. And then from then on, they go on to continue the 4-course series, where they will partner with local or global communities in order to collaborate on a project. And throughout the course series, they will learn skills such as grant writing and how the process works of creating a project that is fully funded by us. And then after the course series, they have the chance to apply to become an Everett Fellow. And Everett Fellows are the main leaders of the program. It is a student-founded and continues to be a student-led and governed program. So Everett Fellows teach classes, they govern the entire program, and they really run the program to ensure that near-to-peer, peer-to-peer structure throughout all aspects of our program, not just classes. And what's really cool about being an Everett Fellow is that before you graduate, you get the chance to become an executive fellow. So you apply to become an executive fellow, fellows vote you in, and that is what the position that me and my colleagues are currently in. We started as Everett students, we became Everett Fellows, and then we applied to be executive fellows. So now we are working full-time in a fully paid capacity, which is a really cool opportunity for us to just kind of, go throughout the course series and really build on skills and also make changes to the program that we saw as students. Then we have our visiting assistant professor, as I mentioned previously, who leads 3 courses in the course series. And then we have our executive director, which is currently Chris Benner. Next slide, please.
All right, so just for this upcoming year, I'd like to highlight a couple of milestones that our students have completely driven. I'd like to quote these as completely fellow-powered, because they were impossible to complete without the help of both our staffing, but our really immensely dedicated fellows as well. Next slide, please. All right, so first up, some of our fellows were lucky enough to work with formerly incarcerated filmmakers Adamu Chan and Tan Tran. They've been working closely with our Gateways project, which was first established in 2019, which allows our students to work in close collaboration with the current and formerly incarcerated population. Both Adamu and Tan are frequent collaborators with the Everett Program, and recently Adamu just released about a year ago the film What These Walls Won't Hold, which documents life in San Quentin prison through the COVID-19 pandemic. And it was actually on the film circuit. It won an award, as you can see on that little side panel right there. And it is featured on PBS. So it is available for all of you to watch for free and is a product of just one of the many projects that our students have worked on in the past year. Next slide, please. And as for other fellow powered projects, we have been active in Giving Day and working towards securing funding for our student projects. In the past 2 years, we've actually been able to raise $26,000 total for use of our internal projects and also funding for additional projects that we as the Everett program see best fit. And these past few years, we've been working closely with Tan Tran to also bring his film to life, which is Finding Ma, which relegates information about the foster care system and the pipeline that it unfortunately leads to the carceral system here in the United States. But just so you all know, any of our students also have access to referendum fees and also a couple of endowment funds that they're free to really start student initiated and driven projects that are community driven and engaged. So they work closely with their projects and collaborators. Next slide, please. And on a different end, we've also been working very closely with our alumni from years past to provide networking and career-oriented workshops for our fellows. This past year, a couple of our previous executive fellows have been working on doing field trips for some of our students. Our most recent field trip was going to the Electronic Frontier Foundation in San Francisco. They're highly cited in various publications regarding online security and internet neutrality. So their work has just been important to our current technical society. So it's really important for our students to really get a gauge of where they envision themselves post-grad. But we're hoping this upcoming quarter to perhaps visit the Digital Nest, which is a technology collective based in Watsonville, and they also have several satellite offices around California as well. But these are just one of the many opportunities that are available to our students. Next slide, please.
Okay. So if all those other factors haven't convinced you yet, we do have an office located in the Social Sciences 2 building, which you are more than welcome to visit us. But this office is pretty much where our students and fellows and staff bond the most. We are more than just a program or a collective of students that go through our process of courses, but we do, next slide, have a big community in Everett. So our community, next slide, time, is very diverse and ranges from all kinds of opportunities. We do like hanging out with each other outside of classes. We are because we are student led and because we are very community based, we try to ensure that our students and upcoming fellows really feel like they have a safe space that they're a part of and a community that they can always depend and be supported in. So our biggest emphasis is in pretty much in creating this kind of space and environment for y'all. So these are just a quick little examples of like what goes on when you are a student as well as a fellow within the offices. We hold retreats every quarter where we kind of take students out and really try to bond with each other and really try to encapsulate the significance of the work that we do within the program and also the relationship building that you can get. So a lot of our students, we've been here for 25 years. So we have a lot of alumni who come out still being in relationships with other fellows and other students that went through the program. And it's overall just a lot of fun on top of the actual seriousness that goes on in the kind of work that we are dedicated in training, promoting, and doing overall. Next slide. So because we are a community, we do also have student project highlights. So this is more on the serious, more academic aspect of the program. So last year we had a range from 10 different organizations. These are three of the main ones that we typically focus on because of the opportunities that they provide. So first off, we have the Monteverde Institute, which is an institute based in Costa Rica, where students actually have the opportunity to travel to Costa Rica and provide technical and empowerment workshops to local communities within Costa Rica. Then we have the Gateways Project, which is also a student-led series of courses for computer literacy within local jails, where we also use that peer-to-peer model in those classes, which really allows for the true hands-on learning, where students are really training or working with that community within those spaces. And then we also have the Impactathons that this year work with the ARC, and they're also student-led, and they work on providing workshops focused on facilitating specific tech skills and knowledge through that social justice framework. And again, this is only 3 of the 10. So there's many other different organizations that we do partner up with every year. So we have a diverse set of options for students to feel like they can really be connected with not only the social justice theme that they'll be focusing on, but as well as the organizations that they're partnered up with. Next slide, please. So this is the Monteverde, this year's Monteverde team who got to go to Costa Rica. And this is just a quick little example of the kind of work or kind of product that you create as a student. This is very minimal. There's a lot more that goes into it, but this is the kind of information that we look for and train you and support you in how to identify when you are working with your organizations, such as project deliverables, finding out what the organization is about, as well as issue statements, need statements, and overall impact while, during, and after your project has been completed. Next slide.
Already. Hopefully the audio is online. But here's another one of our flagship programs that we really do highlight in the Everett program. I mentioned a little bit of it, but we are the Gateways Project as well, which was formally founded in 2019. And it really gives a chance for our students to not only recenter the traumatic stresses that accompany the carceral system, but also to continue growing the livelihoods of currently incarcerated students. Our students have been working in digital media education initiatives, and what that looks like is some of our students are able to visit the local Watsonville jail in both the winter, spring, and summer to do tech curriculum. What that has looked like in previous years has mainly been teaching Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, coding in the form of Adobe Dreamweaver, and also film editing using iMovie. So it's been a really wonderful program for all of our students involved. Not only do our students gather the skills to start facilitating and teaching in classrooms with a smaller subset of students, but our students who take our classes are just as driven and excited to be taking our classes. So it is a wonderful program that we offer. And it is not only singular classes, but it also comes about in the form of a story map that highlights the racial injustices that have occurred here in Santa Cruz, but also as a form of workshops that some of our students did this past summer in Los Angeles in collaboration with the Anti-Recidivism Coalition. And yeah, next slide, please.
Okay, so this is just to give you some insight on the fellowship as it stands this coming year for the 24-25 school year. So this year we have 20 new fellows that have joined the cohort, which is from a marked increase of 53% in fellowship applications. It has a lot to do with sort of changing up the space, making it more student-centered, and really bringing like the co-learning, co-working environment to the office, including like the staff, to the students, to the fellows. We're also on the lookout for a permanent assistant professor and a brand new program director this year, or for the coming year, but we're looking this year. And then, as we mentioned earlier, Xiaowei Wang joins us this year as the visiting assistant professor. And then there are 3 new executive fellows. So that's me, Fernando, and Ivana, who are joining CAT. And on a more broader sense, we're also working to reimagine our program image this year. It might mean rebranding, but also growing our professional network, fostering more community connections on campus and off campus, and expanding on the fellows projects that we presented on earlier. Next slide. And this is sort of a look at what it is like to be a student in the program. So these are the 4 courses that are GICE's courses, and then there are the 3 upper division sociology electives that are required to get the minor. But for these classes, the first one that's in the fall is in Sociology 30A, which is the introductory course, sort of an intro into social movements, systems thinking, and technology for social change. It does fulfill a general education requirement. It's the PET requirement, as well as sociology, a sociology lower division for this minor or concentration. And then in that course, you do apply to your student project, and you're partnered with an organization. And then in the winter during Sociology 107A, you do grant writing, so you write a proposal for funding to the Everett program, and then we fund the project based off of that proposal. You prepare for your project, meeting with your partner org, and learning project management skills. And then that's where a lot of the peer-to-peer mentorship comes from fellows as well, in terms of you have a project guide who's a fellow who went through the sequence, as well as you take tech labs that are the curriculum and execution of the labs is totally done by tech guide fellows. And then in the spring, during 107B, you implement that project, and it's sort of a lab-like setup where you're just supported during class in any way for you to complete that project. And then in the fall, during Sociology 196G, it's a practicum for you to come back and do some reflection on the project process, the impact of the project, and all that jazz. So next slide. And then here's a QR code. If you want to take your phone out and scan the screen, it'll take you to the Everett website and some more information on Sociology 30A. And then I'm also going to paste a link into the slides or into the chat.
Yeah. But as we like to say, envision your potential and passions. And the Everett program is exactly that kind of community where you have the opportunity to do just that. But we hope to see you soon. Also, we are always open. So even if you're not a student currently in our classes or a fellow, we are more than welcoming for you guys to come in and just check out the space as well and get more information. So we're here, Social Sciences 2 building, office number 45. Seven.
And we'll be at Cornucopia today if you guys are coming to that. So you can, we'll have a table.
And we got slime. So
Slime.
If you don't like social justice, but you like slime, come see us.
And also, if you're remotely interested in learning more about the 30A course, we will have our first course this upcoming Thursday from 5:20 to 6:55. So if you're on the fence about joining our lovely community, please, we do invite you to come and visit, join us, and really see if you want to tackle all of these social justice issues together. So we'd love to see you co-work and be in community. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks all. That was awesome. I'd really encourage anyone who's even remotely interested in Everett program to check it out this fall. Soc 30A, especially if you're a transfer student. We really want you to get started on the Everett program or concentration or minor right away, just because it's a sequence of 4 classes and we want to make sure we fit them in before you graduate. But if you are frosh, generally you could do first year, second year, third year as a starting point and still graduate on time. So now kind of switching gears. So the Everett program they were talking about is our concentration. We call it this Global Information and Social Enterprise Studies, or GICES for short, concentration, but it's the same as Everett program. So what we do in this major is we take the Sociology BA, that was 12 classes that Willie talked about a little bit earlier, and we add the 4 courses that are highlighted that are specifically the Everett program, and that's what gives you the major with the concentration. So everything that's not highlighted here is what we talked about previously in the Sociology BA, and then we're adding those 4 courses. So Just a briefly overview here, in order to qualify for this particular major and concentration, we want you to take the Soc 30A class that's offered this fall. Seats are still open. You're more than welcome to still enroll, switch up your schedule. And then we add to it now the courses we previously talked about. We need 2 of the 3 courses in the Soc 1, 10, or 15 that are listed there. So you pick 2 of those plus Soc 30A. Those combined, we need them all passed with a B- or better. And that is what qualifies you for this concentration so that you can officially declare in this program. Moving on from there, we still have our evaluation of evidence or research methods and statistics, both required. Most of the time we see those in 2nd or 3rd year that students take them. The upper division GEISIS core courses are what the Everett folks were talking about. So this is when you're designing your project, kind of learning how you're implementing, getting funding. Typically you finish up your project over the summer, and then the next fall you come back and you do your project write-up. The 2 upper division theory courses, same as our sociology BA, they are typically done in your 3rd or 4th year. And here are upper division electives. We have 5 required, which is the same as sociology BA, but in this one, you actually get a lot more flexibility in what is approved to count towards this major. In our sociology BA, we have 5 required, and only 2 of them can be from another department. But here, we actually have a really long list of approved upper division courses all across campus. And even all 5 of your electives can come from another department. So we're very interdisciplinary with this major, and we really want you to find electives that are going to help you with the project that you ultimately do with the Everett program or GEISIS concentration. And then finally comes later our senior exit requirement that you'll do one of those, the seminar grad course or thesis. Okay, so this is the major you would choose if you want to combine our sociology program with the Everett program. Okay, next slide, please. And for students who are maybe not in sociology, maybe you're going to major something else, we actually have the Everett program as a minor as well, and we call it the GEISIS minor. Next slide, please. It's actually one of the shorter minors that you'll find on campus. Basically, it's going to be the top 4 classes listed there are the Everett program courses, the sequential courses that start in fall quarter. And then we just add to it 3 upper division electives, very interdisciplinary. We accept a lot of courses across campus, and that's the whole minor. So if you are majoring in something outside of sociology, but really like what the Everett program does, we have a minor for that. Whereas if you are in sociology and you're interested in Everett program, well, we have that GEISIS concentration already built for you. Okay. Next slide, please. And our last program to talk about is our LALS, or Latin American and Latino Studies major plus sociology, and we call this a combined BA. A combined BA is basically where we take half of 2 different departments majors, put them together into one major, and you're kind of getting the best of 2 worlds. So this isn't all of the sociology BA and all of the LALS requirements, but we strategically picked a few classes from each and put them together. So you have a combined BA. So if you like sociology, but you want to focus on Latin America, this is a good option for that. Next slide, please. So this major is going to basically be split into sociology, half LALS courses. In order to qualify at the very top for this major, you need to take one of the LALS course introductory course options you see there, and then on sociology, you take 2 of the 3 that we list there. So those 3 courses that you pick from that set is what qualifies you to be a sociology and LALS combined major. Then we go on to upper division requirements. These are generally 2nd, 3rd, 4th year. LALS, we usually see 2nd year, and then sociology, we start seeing more in your 3rd year. So these are core courses. All students have to take these. On the LALS side, they have two. They have a theories class and a research class. And then for us, we have two theory classes. So you do have a little bit more theory in this major, but like Millie said, it's difficult, but actually some of the most interesting courses as well. And then we have 4 upper division electives, and we split those up. So we want you to take 2 sociology upper division electives and then 2 from the Latin American Latino Studies department, so that you have a little bit of both topics in this major. And then finally, a senior requirement, your final year here, and it's either you take an LALS senior seminar or a sociology senior seminar. For this major, it is very important that we connect you to the LALS department. They are the main advising office for this program. So if you're interested in it at all, you can connect with them directly or email us, and we'll help you connect with the advisor. Next slide, please. I'm going to turn it over to Willie.
Thanks, Tina. Okay, so if you are dead set on your sociology major, you have decided on a program and you know that that is the one major you want to do, and this applies more generally to other majors, you have the possibility of doing what's called a 3-year pathway. And this would be completing your major within 3 years instead of the typical 4. So it's an accelerated plan. And what is nice about this is that for these majors listed here that are part of the 3-year pathway program, there are resources such as already made plans, academic plans, so you can see and visualize what it would look like to do your major within 3 years. So one thing to keep in mind is that this is assuming that you've satisfied the entry-level writing requirement before your first quarter at UCSC. And it also requires that you take summer sessions after your first and second years. I think one thing if you are interested in this, I definitely suggest meeting with us, thinking about the 3-year pathway. One thing to consider is what are your academic and professional goals, and does a 3-year pathway align with those goals? Speaking of summer session, this is a optional 4th quarter. You don't have to take summer classes, but they are offered every year. They're offered in person as well as online. There's more online options in the summer. You can already view summer classes in December. Enrollment opens May 1st. And financial aid is available, but as with any financial aid questions and trying to understand what you would, how your financial aid might change or stay the same for summer sessions, always recommend talking to the financial aid office to see what your options are. Summer housing on campus is available if you take summer session, and reasons why you might want to take summer session or think of taking them. It's a way to get ahead. For example, if you want to graduate early with 3-year pathway or a quarter early or something like that. If you need to stay on track, retake any classes, or if you suddenly find yourself wanting to do like a double major or a minor in your junior year or something, and you need extra space in your schedule, summer session can really help you open things up. So I'd like to say a little bit about our students, your fellow students in sociology. The majority, 87%, like I said before, are doing the sociology BA. 5% are in the Geises concentration with the sociology BA. 6% are combined LALS, and sociology. And 2% are in the GYSIS minor, but growing. And like we've said before, if you're interested in GYSIS, definitely check it out. That was a lovely presentation from the fellows, and it seems like there's really exciting work that you could do in GYSIS. So of this, of all of our sociology students, 29% are transfer students, 40% are EOP, Educational Opportunity Program students, 50% are first generation. We have a wonderful and diverse student body that brings an amazing wealth of different perspectives. And as a former grad student and teacher, I loved seeing that in my classes and in my sections. Yeah, conversations were always really rich and varied with our student body. And in our spring 2024 graduating class, 27% of students pursued a minor, 36% pursued a double major, and some students did both. So here we have a list of some of the most popular double majors and minors that sociology students take. Psychology, legal studies, Latin American and Latinx studies, education, very popular majors to double major in as a sociology student, but you have many different options, as you can see here. And some you have options that are not on this list too, but these are the most popular. And just a note that Latin American and Latinx studies is here because you can double major in both instead of doing the combined major. So they're distinct things that you can do. As for minors, legal studies and education, again, very popular. Spanish studies, Latin American and Latinx studies, anthropology. We have here some of the minors that are only 6 courses. Other minors can be 7 or 8, maybe even a few more, I'm not really sure, classes. But yeah, I think if you are interested in kind of expanding your field of study, a minor can be a really good way to yeah, expand what you're studying and complement your sociological education with some of these other disciplines. And like I said before, interdisciplinarity is a really big value of our department and of sociology in general. So having another major or a minor really works well with our department. Hey, and bring it back to Tina.
Thanks. So now I'm going to switch gears to kind of talking about some popular opportunities that we see sociology students do. Starting with global learning. Highly recommend if you want to study abroad. There's a lot of different programs. It does not have to be a sociology specific program. Most of them you really select the country and the program, and then we look to see what kind of sociology courses they may have if you did want to apply them to us. And some students go abroad without applying courses to us. Maybe it's a general ed or units or just a great experience. So a lot of different reasons you might do global learning, but we do have a lot of students who participate. Next slide, please. So just a little bit of statistics on this. So we typically see junior year being a really popular time and then senior year following up with that, especially with transfer students. I know you have limited time. So for transfers, a lot of time like starting in summer and then going into your senior year is when we see a lot more study abroad happen. And then if you're starting here at Frosh, you really have your pick, but junior year is usually when we see that the most. Most students do qualify for financial aid, and it's really a big reason why you're able to go. So definitely work with the global learning department on the financial aid and scholarship opportunities they have. And then in terms of when in the year we see students go, it's summer is a big one since it doesn't really affect your academic plan in the regular year a lot. So summer's a great time for abroad. Beyond that, we see students who go for 1 quarter, and a lot of we note that especially because a lot of programs abroad are semester schools versus our quarter system. And so you kind of want to make sure if I'm gone fall, that lines up with the semester and quarter. But if I want to go winter, spring, their semester takes up our winter and spring quarters. So their spring semester is our winter and spring quarter. So you want to be careful on what quarter or what semester you're choosing for your academic plan. And in terms of who goes, it's a lot of our social sciences departments are going. We make up more than half of the campus in terms of students that go abroad. And if you go to the next slide, I think we have, there we go. The majors that we see go abroad the most, we're 7th there, and it fluctuates every year. So we do see a lot of students go. And in particular, Europe is probably a popular region to go, probably for the language, but we are seeing a lot more students now going to the Americas, and every year we'll have a little bit different programs available. Next slide, please. So we have a new program. It started this past summer for the first time. It's the Sociology Global Internship Program. So instead of the previous slides where we're talking about studying abroad, where you go to a university, you take classes there, transfer and back, here you actually go abroad and complete an 8-week internship. And at the same time, you're enrolled in 10 units through UCSC, and we do accept that as a sociology elective. This upcoming summer, we're doing the program again, and we're going to be in Santiago, Chile. So I'm really excited about that. We are aiming for junior, senior sociology majors, but we do accept kind of case by case. If you're sophomore and feels like you're ready, we do discuss that as well. And students, all of the ones that went last year, received some kind of financial aid and scholarship. This program will open later in fall quarter. We'll have the information and application process opening, so we'll send that out when it's ready, and I'm pretty excited about this program. Next slide, please. The Global Learning Office also does this program called UCDC, Washington Program. So this is where you spend completing research and an internship. You typically gain about 12 units, and we can use those courses that you take towards sociology. So great program, especially if you're interested in any kind of politics, legal studies, and of course, any of these sociology internship topics there. They're really cool internships that they offer you there. And you're only gone for 1 quarter, whereas the global learning has a lot of semester programs. So this lines up with us pretty well. And they do have regular information sessions held every Tuesday or the first Tuesday of every month. So definitely log on if you're interested in that. Next slide, please. So those of you going to Cornucopia later today, check out the Global Learning booth. They'll be there with lots of information. And then later on in October, they actually have like a whole like International Week, Global Learning, a lot of fairs and information sessions. So there'll be another round of information that you can get later in fall quarter as well. Next slide, please. All right, so I want to mention some awards and scholarships. Of course, beyond your financial aid package that you may have received, you might be looking for what kind of awards the campus has. So a lot of the campus awards open in winter and spring quarters. Spring especially is a heavy time that we see campus opens up their opportunities. And a lot of them are going to be based on projects or research projects that you've done, or a senior thesis, or just various types of projects that you might have done throughout the year or earlier in the year. And for that, particularly junior and senior year, we see that happen a lot. That you've done some kind of research project and you want to use that paper or project for these awards. Some of the awards can be sent directly from us. Some of them are more like social sciences division. Anyone in the social sciences division can apply. And then there will be some that are open campus wide. There are a few that are very popular with our students in particular. Some are very specific. So the Sociology of Race, Class, and Gender Senior Thesis Award are for students in our department who, in their senior exit requirement, write a senior thesis, and it has some kind of incorporates race, class, and gender. I think last year the award was $2,500 for the student who won. The Fannie Carruthers Award is a very specific award as well. It's so just in case if you went to a high school in Santa Clara County, it's specifically for students in sociology who went to a high school in Santa Clara County, and we'll open that a little bit end of winter, early spring. And then we've got two that are divisional. So the social sciences division opens these awards to anyone who has a major in this division. The Gabriel Zimmerman Award and the Benjamin Quay Award are both based on your work doing social justice and public service. So they usually have you write like a 2 to 3 page essay about your passion, your interests, your work in social justice. And then you submit those papers and it kind of goes to the division to ultimately decide. And some of these awards were pretty big. I think the Gabriel Zimmerman last year went to 2 or 3 students and they split about $10,000 between them. So pretty big opportunities. And the last one, the Deans and Chancellors Award, is the biggest research award that comes around every year, late winter. It's usually when it opens, and it's research papers, senior thesis, projects that you've done. I've seen some Everett students apply for these with their projects that they've done. So definitely look out for that, especially if you've done some kind of project or research. All right, next slide, please. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Adelina.
Hi, everybody. I hope you're still doing all right. I know it was a lot of information, but it is all just getting laid out for you. So just take it one step at a time. And one way that that can be really helpful is just going in and seeing the resources, especially if you're new on campus. Like for me, even just last year, I pretended like I was new on campus and I just went and toured all the different resources and I really found a sense of community. Like people were just hanging out on the resources, there was free food, and people were super welcoming and want you to come and utilize your resources. So yeah, it's a great place to build community, to find opportunities and programs to support you at UCSC. And they also have a lot of workshops and fun events and stuff to look out for. I like to follow all of the, like here at the bottom, you have the different resources, some examples. There's so many, but I included my favorite ones. And, well, not favorite, but the ones that I go to a lot. And they really post some awesome events and workshops that they're having, and definitely take advantage of those because who knows, you could find some cool new friends who have similar like wants and interests as you in your academic journey, and you could even put events on together. That's what happened to me, is I would go to events. I met people who were like, I want to do something like this, and then I started throwing events too. Here in chat is these links for more information on these resources, but I also have some personal advice I'd like to give you on the next slide. Definitely utilizing those resources. I think I took way too long to go to places because I was intimidated that I didn't really know what the environment was going to be like, but I was very pleasantly surprised that they always had snacks, water, places to study, cool different resources that maybe you wouldn't think that would be helpful to you. Like I am always losing my pencils and my pens, and having a resource center where I could just go and they're giving me free pens all the time. I'm like, okay, great. So I'll make sure that I have it for when I'm taking my notes and stuff. But on top of that, also creating resources for yourself, like attending your professor's office hours or making study buddies in class, having people that when you're not doing so well, you can really talk to your professor or to other people in the class that maybe are struggling with you, and just being able to have that reciprocity relationship with people that you're learning with and learning from is so important. I know it can be a little bit scary, like to just go to the office hours, but it's the whole reason that we have office hours is so that you can create a relationship with the professor. And one of the options for your senior exit for sociology is to do a senior thesis. And in order to do a senior thesis, you need a professor, like faculty support. So it's good to really make those relationships right off the bat so you can get used to talking to the staff members and faculty for whatever opportunities you may need later down the line or even in present. Another recommendation for me is looking at a minor sooner rather than later. You can maybe just be like, okay, I'm just gonna focus on my major and then figure out my minor later. But I found that all of my friends have found it really helpful to just take classes that you're interested in and specifically try to get on some kind of minor track. If for whatever reason, maybe sociology isn't working out for you, at least you started taking classes in a different department that did interest you, and so you can switch over, or you can just take really just try to create room in your schedule to take classes that are interesting because we offer so many amazing courses. Um, Getting a little ahead of myself, which brings me to my next point, is to rest and be compassionate with yourself. Really make some me time, in between all of the hustle and bustle of the events, your courses, your homework. It's so important to set time for mindfulness and to get that good rest, that sleep. That way you can really bring your best foot forward and try to create a flow for your academic life that works for you. Don't be afraid to deviate from your original plans too. If you're thinking, okay, I'm gonna do the three-year pathway, I just really want to graduate early, but then for whatever reason, you end up failing a class, or maybe you find a new major that you didn't even know existed, and you want to do that instead, and you have to add that fourth year on again. Just practice that self-compassion that I was just talking about. It's totally fine. It happens all the time. People are constantly switching their major, finding new interests, or just wanting to take more classes because there are really a lot of awesome opportunities. And just keep your mind open. If you're looking around, having new experiences, it'll lead you in the right direction. And just apply. The worst thing you can get is no, like apply to the scholarships, the awards Tina Costa-Bloom was just talking about, and all of the different job opportunities that you may see. Like you may be like, well, I don't know if they would want me. I don't really have experience. You'd be surprised if you just show that you're passionate, you're a fast learner, or that this is something that you feel like you would be good at. People might have an interest in hiring you. Another recommendation I kind of mentioned was to create a schedule that matches your flow. You'll kind of get used to things once you've started taking classes, especially your GEs, the lower division classes, kind of getting an idea of what these next couple years are going to look like for you. Try your best to get on your next schedule as soon as possible. Like for this quarter, you already have it set, but start thinking about the quarters ahead. Because if you really look at the classes you're going to be taking, you can see, okay, when would I like to take this? I don't want to take too many hard courses at once. Or if you do like to do that and you want to take like extra courses, or you want to take an internship a certain quarter, it's good to just think about that as a part of your plan ahead of time. That way you can have a flow that works for you instead of being kind of like I had the problem of feeling like I was being told what to do because there's all these requirements, but you can make it work for you. On that note, don't buy books until the first day of class. I know you want to be prepared, but sometimes the professors have online PDF versions that are free, or you can find resources within the class with other students, finding like thrift bookstores online, anything that can make it cheaper for you so that you're not having hefty spending every quarter on a book that maybe, oh, it's changed all of a sudden, you don't even need the book. So yeah. Again, just emphasizing build community. I think that's kind of a broad phrase, but really that just comes from like the core of yourself. If you just think to yourself, okay, today I'm really going to make an effort to say hello to the person that's next to me, to try to go to my professor's office hours, to go and visit a resource center. Like those are all different ways of building community for yourself. And that's really going to be helpful to finding your place here at UCSC and feeling more comfortable. And take time to nature walk in between classes. I found it super helpful. My next point is to bring water and snacks, and then I just go out because all of the trails really lead back to each other or to some hidden gems. Santa Cruz is so popular for its little hidden gems that you can find. And it's more exciting to find it yourself instead of like following the Instagram reels and stuff. So definitely take time to walk in between your classes. Maybe you can find new places that you like to study or to have your lunch or to meet up with friends. I've definitely found some cool places, so highly recommend. And get out of your comfort zone, just like I was saying with building community. Say hello to people you see on day to day. That's really how you're gonna make friends here in college is by just the people that you see every day. You know, it's really hard to go to all these social events all the time, although it is so helpful to have like events where you're gonna be around all the people that want to socialize. But even the people, if they're having a hard day, wouldn't it be nice if somebody was just saying hello to you or acknowledging your presence instead of like going on your phone and pretending like you're invisible? You know, because we all are very aware of our circumstance here in our college bubble. And really just trying to create some roots for yourself while you're here, can be helpful to figuring out, you know, what you want to do, what kind of people you want to surround yourself with, and who you are becoming. So on that note, reminders, use your Google Calendar. It's so like put those notifications so that you make sure that you're making it to class on time. I usually set mine. You can set like notify me 30 minutes in advance, and then that can be helpful in making sure that, oh my gosh, I forgot about this section or this lab. Let me go and run on over there. Set your alarms too, so you wake up in the morning to go to your classes. Enjoy your time. You know, it really goes by fast. I'm in my fourth year. I came in undeclared, and I didn't know how much I would enjoy just being on campus and going to my classes, making relationships, even my homework. Like, I know it sounds kind of crazy, but you can really have fun with your homework if you just create a good schedule for yourself. Like, I personally do the 30 minutes of doing my homework, 15-minute break. I usually like have like a sweet treat, fruit. I love fruit. So maybe I'll walk to a garden. I think I put that in here too. Oh yeah, the best spots. There's the farm, the UCSC farm and the gardens. Like they have fruit, they have flowers. It's so much fun to be able to go and just like pick some for yourself. And kind of like a special treat in between your homework and your classes. Um, on that note, check your Gmail and keep your electronics charged because I so many times I've gone to class, didn't check if my computer was charged, and then I have no way of taking notes because I forgot my notebook. Like, oh, so keep your electronics charged. And I'm just gonna end it off with some of the best spots on campus in UCSC, in my personal opinion. I love Oaks Field. It's really nice, feels private, just beautiful grass, and it doesn't have like as great of a view as Eastfield, but I find that I prefer it because it's less busy. And sometimes there's some really cool events there that I didn't even know were going on, and I would just go there. And then the event they would have like cool like pop-ups of like clothing swaps and stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, this is awesome. Pogo Nip. It's by Eastfield, but you have to kind of walk there. And there's this awesome rock garden where people leave notes underneath the rocks, and I found that to be like very magical. It reminds me of in Frozen with all of the trolls, the rock trolls. It's just it literally look you'll just have to go and you'll see that it looks like that. And Pogo Nip you can find like on Google Maps. And then the farm in Campus Gardens, like I was mentioning, it's just such an awesome vibe there. Like the people that work at the farm and the gardens are some of the cool, like really grounded, awesome, like compassionate, welcoming people. And you can do internships at the farm. There's classes that help you to get acquainted with gardens and farm work. And this is just such a beautiful campus that we have and it really produces some beautiful plants, homes for animals. Like they have cool little workshops at the farm too that I've made some really good friends at. So, and gotten like free herbs and stuff. So, oh, and there's an herb garden at the farm. So cool. It's all student run. And you can get a part of that. Like every time I go, they're always like, yes. And I'm like, yes. So I think that it's a good environment just because you really can understand how the students really run the school. You know, when I think of UCSC, I think of the people. It's not just an institution, but it's the rest of the peers and the staff. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. The quarry is beautiful. It's an amphitheater. Sometimes there's concerts and events there. Sometimes I like to have my lunch. It's by the Bay Tree Bookstore, and the quad is what we call it, which is like the middle of campus approximately. And it's a really nice, open, beautiful area to sit at or to have club meetings if you do a club. And then the Sociology Lounge is another one of my favorite places, which is at the Rachel Carson Academic Building. It's where our offices are. You can come say hi to us, get some snacks, go to the Sociology Lounge, and do your work. There's not usually a lot of people, so I think that's why I like it. But maybe this year would be different because I'm telling you that you should come. But it's really cool because there's easy to access bathrooms. On the third floor, there's gender inclusive bathrooms, which I really appreciate. And the professors are all in the Rachel Carson building, so you might run into them, getting their own lunch, and that's kind of cool to make kind of to break that barrier, in that relationship. And then in Santa Cruz, I love the Mellow Mellow Kava bar. It's so cool. It's a nice I like to be in an inclusive space where there's multiple age ranges. And I just love Kava's really good in my in my opinion. And I just love that it's a sober space. You don't have to worry about like oh, like partying and I don't know, stuff like that. It's very nice. And there are monthly drag shows. I just went to my first one and I was so elated. I was almost crying because just beautiful. You can fill in the words like slay, all those feelings. Yes, I was. Shout out. And Sub Rosa is also a great community space where they have cool events, live music, clothing swaps. They have a free um clothes exchange. Highly recommend donating to them. I need to look more into that, but follow them on Instagram and you can see their different stuff. I think it's Sub Rosa downtown. And then my other and last place is the Cove, which is just a very welcoming space. They have, in my opinion, the best snacks. I love their snacks. And they have a massage chair. Oh, yes, we all need a massage like during the school year. So definitely go see what their resources are about. And yeah, that is me. If you ever want to come and talk to me, I love to talk. Obviously, I'm a yapper. So please come chat with me and we can make sure that you have a plan. If you want any more advice, I'm full of it. No, just kidding. But yeah, come in person. I highly recommend. And just have a good time this year. Really just make the most of this UCSC experience. So yeah. Oh, we are in Rachel Carson academic building, second level, room 226. Yeah, I'll put that in chat too. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Evelina. Those were awesome recommendations. I'm going to add mine. It's been a while since I was a student, but I love the Merrill Apartments path in the back that lead kind of behind college, JRL College and College 9. There's, if it's still there, it's a cat shrine, and it's like a shrine to cats. And there's notebooks that you can write about your cat. It's awesome. Anyways, next slide, please. So just kind of wrapping things up now, there's some important dates and deadlines I want to note. I'll put the academic calendar in the chat as well. So the biggest one coming soon, you're all going to go try your classes and see how it goes. But if you need to change your schedule, that's still totally fine. There are classes campus-wide that will remain open. But just note that as of October 4th, that's the last day that you can adjust your schedule on your own without getting some kind of permission. So a permission code would have to come from the instructor, and they're approving you to still change your class and switch into their class. So as much as you can, try to adjust your schedule before October 5th. So October 4th is the last day. And then ultimately the add drop swap deadline when you can still actually swap classes is October 16th. But between October 5th and October 16th, you need a permission code from the professor to do that. The deadline to declare a major, if you are going to declare one this quarter, in particular transfer students that came in as sociology, you all had to do introduction to sociology in that social problems class already. You're already eligible for sociology. You can already declare your major. It's a super easy e-form through my UCSC. They'll take you like 3 minutes and we'll process it. So just throw that up there. And then some of these dates that are coming later on. But I do want to note, we're starting fall quarter, but winter enrollment is kind of around the corner. You're going to see the schedule for winter come out November 7th. You'll get your enrollment appointments. That's when we're preparing for enrollment. And then the next week enrollment will begin for winter. So we'll probably see a lot of you around that time. Next slide, please. So later today, 3 to 5 p.m., we are going to have some drop-in Zoom advising. So if you have questions after this, you're now interested in sociology, you want to propose sociology, whatever it is, you're welcome to come. We do have our advising calendar that I'll put in the chat as well. It has the Zoom link in our calendar. And then Friday, we'll have it again, especially so that gives you a chance to go to your Thursday, Friday classes, see how it goes. And if you're like, something's not right, I need to change my schedule, come see us. We can definitely help you. Okay. And Willie and I both have appointments available, which you can book through the Navigate Select Success app. Yeah, we hope to see you and feel free to email us as well. And next slide, I think we're done. Yeah. So questions, you're welcome to put them in the chat. You're welcome to raise your hand. We'll stay behind to answer your questions. But if you're all set, thank you so much for coming. We're really looking forward to working with you this coming year. Thanks all.